And that idea of optimism, we need it more than ever. And optimism is not ignoring the bad stuff. It's not pretending that everything is okay. It is seeing the news, knowing what's happening, keeping yourself educated, and understanding what you can do to make things better. There is always something that you can do to make things better. And we're not at any point where it's time for anyone to start giving up.
Welcome to Late Bloomer Living, the podcast where we're all about shaking up our ideas about what it means to grow older. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your resident age agitator and play instigator. Around here, we believe midlife is the perfect time to play, to reinvent, and bloom like you mean it. Let's go. In a world that feels heavy, being optimistic can actually be rebellious. Today, I'm talking with Molly Lee. She's a soap maker from Portland, Oregon, whose business, Optimistic Soap, turned into something bigger than she ever imagined. And this isn't just about her soap making, this conversation today. It's about speaking up and finding purpose and proving that your second act can be your boldest one. That's what this is going to be about. So stick around. Molly's energy just might remind you that even small acts done with heart can ripple further than you think. So without further ado, here's Molly Lee. Molly, thank you so much for being with me today.
Hi, sure. Thanks, Yvonne.
Oh
That
my
was a
God.
nice intro.
I'm so excited to have you on. You hooked me. I found one of your reels and it made me laugh. And it had heart and content about the real stuff that's happening in our world right now. And I'm going to get a little bit clamped. Excuse me. Wow.
Oh,
Hello. Um,
oh.
yeah. Wow. Whoo. I didn't expect that. Excuse me. It gave me hope. It gave
Oh,
me hope to see what you're doing. So thank you for that.
thank you.
Let's
That's
talk a
lovely.
little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now
Mhm.
with your Instagram content.
I still feel relatively new to Instagram. I've had the account for years and years. And there was a time when my soap content, I had an activist side too, but I kept that and soap separate. And the soap was clean, no pun intended. But in my marketing, college days, your corporate personality was free from controversy. You didn't sully it with anything. You were just,
Yes.
this is who you are, and it's all slick and shiny and blah 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 blah. I remember being just a little bit nervous, and this is so dumb and silly. Uh, when I finally put my Rainbow Pride soap out to market on my website, and it's just like fucking. Sorry, can I say that?
You can. You can.
Okay.
You can do that
It's
here.
it's just loving human beings, right? And so that was a tiny little baby step.
So you put out your rainbow soap, and that felt like a risk to you just to put that as
Just
an
that,
offering.
right?
Interesting. Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous? And then I did the trans soap. And
No, I
again,
can see that. Yeah. It's
well,
not
and this we
ridiculous.
live in a day and age when being a human being who feels different from the body that they were born in has become a political football. They have been, scapegoated by this administration. So now's the time,
Yes.
obviously, to stand up much more strongly for the trans community than at any other time. But it wasn't until really Kamala Harris threw her hat in the ring when I became full blown, yeah, uh, I'm doing everything I can to get this woman elected. And I had my Kamala soap, my Madam President soap. I fundraised like a mad person for that campaign. My content does have a political tinge at times. And the name Optimistic Soap, which I chose just because, that's who I am, has really been something I've grown into. And that idea of optimism, we need it more than ever. And optimism is not ignoring the bad stuff. It's not pretending that everything is okay. It is seeing the news, knowing what's happening, keeping yourself educated, and understanding what you can do to make things better. There is always something that you can do to make things better. And we're not at any point where it's time for anyone to start giving up. There's bad stuff. I will admit it, but there's always room for activism. So that's what that term optimism, optimistic, has sort of become much more of a focal point for the activist part of my personality.
I love that. I love because I think there's real power in approaching activism with a sense of possibility. It's one of the reasons I love the like the frogs in Portland that are happening right now.
Yeah.
There's something about bringing a different energy the to the fight
Mhm.
that turns it on its ear and
Yeah.
changes and
Yes.
gives us
Yes.
power,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I wanted
I
to
I
ask you, oh, go ahead.
it's not about fighting them with anger. It's not about it, but it's not about running away from their hate. It's running toward something. It's doing something positive as opposed to the negative. It's not sitting and being angry about things, but finding that positive thing where you can be effective. And it's not only good for the world because when you vote, when you do these tiny things, they might seem like a small thing to go and stand on the waterfront with your sign among thousands of other people. You might feel small, but you're important, and it is an effective action that is not only good for the world, but it's good for your soul. It heals us. It gives us control in a world that's a little out of control.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of agency, right?
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
claiming your power
Yes.
for that moment. And when I have shown up to things, I have felt that I'm showing up just for me, it really
Hmm.
as much as for what I believe in. I'm showing up to be the person that I want to be.
Yes. An affirmation as opposed to just pushing back against the hate, which is
Yeah.
what you said. Yep.
Let's go back to the soap making
Mhm.
story part of this. What drew you to soap making in the first place? How did that all start?
I randomly came across a YouTube video of Martha Stewart making soap. And it looked so interesting that I disappeared down the YouTube rabbit hole. I did all the research. I get a little obsessed about things. I got a
Uh-huh.
ton of books, and then I finally made my first batch of soap with three kitchen ingredients, unscented, very plain, in a juice carton because I didn't have a real mold. And it was so magical blending these liquid ingredients together and then having it turn into a solid that is useful, that feels good on your skin. It's, I still feel like it's alchemy, that it is magic. It's chemistry, but it still feels amazing to me. So,
Yeah. So what do you mean by alchemy? I know you've said that before. You've called it modern day alchemy, I think. Tell
mhm.
me a little bit about what's the difference between chemistry and alchemy.
Alchemy just has a more magical feel, and the
Uh-huh.
alchemists back in the old days tried to turn base metals into gold. So, in the same way, soap makers will turn oils like olive oil, blah, 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 coconut oil, and lye water, which sounds terribly frightening, but this is how
Uh-huh.
soap is made, and blend it together and turn it into, modern day gold. It's a totally different molecule than the oils and the lye. It creates a molecule called soap.
Really? It's a new
Yeah, it's
molecule?
you're breaking these molecules apart and they're recombining to make a whole new magical element called soap.
That is so cool.
I know, right? It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's amazing. And then beyond that, then I get to add in colors and make them pretty and add the fragrance, which makes them pretty. Um, it's like hits all my creative spots. I get to design the labels. I get to do the website, which is another creative thing. And it's just all this lovely stuff.
Okay, so how long have you been making soap for now?
It's got to be 12, 15 years. I don't know. I'll have to
Okay.
look.
And
Yeah.
how, do you mind if I ask how old you are when you started the soap
Well,
making?
I'm 60 now, so
Okay.
mid
So
40s.
mid 40s. And at what point did it become a business?
I had been selling soap sort of just to coworkers and stuff, these kind of ugly little blobs of my new beginnings.
Uh-huh.
Oops, they were so sweet to actually fund my obsessive but not inexpensive hobby. So, it kind of sprung from that. The need to buy more supplies. I was like a junkie. I needed more money.
Ah,
So that's why I started selling. And
there
it's
you
just so
go.
delightful. But I became official, I think in 2019, 2020, and then, got my business license, did my accounts, so that's
Yeah.
when I became real.
So I don't know about you. So I'm a photographer, and I
Mhm.
find that when I am doing photography, I get into what they call the flow state. Do you find yourself
Yes.
doing that when you're making soap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's
Yeah.
it is like it still feels magical. I must have made thousands of batches of soap by now, but it still feels like magic when you pour these liquids together and then it turns into a solid that is useful and that people want. It's just such a astonishing and wonderful thing for me.
How has soap making changed you? What's the alchemy of that?
It's given me a purpose. And I think that's so important that people find a purpose. I think a lot of times, I think in this day and age, we focus on things that don't really make us happy. We buy things thinking, a nice car, or we go and we have our mani pedi spa day with the gals. That's pleasurable. The car is retail therapy or whatever. But in the end, when you go home, it's not, it doesn't nourish your soul. Don't get me wrong. I love my electronic toys and I love buying myself a fun new gadget. But finding a purpose and a reason for being is much bigger than that. And the soap has given me that with my Instagram, where I get to talk about and encourage people to be more active in politics and to do things. And I get so much good feedback. I mean, I get people who pop out of shops when they recognize me and they hug me and they tell me how important my message has been for them. And just imagining that I have helped someone not only do something, but also feel better in their human soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There's no that,
there's
I'm
nothing
getting
better.
verklempt again because that's what happens
Yes.
to me if somebody tells me they've been listening to the podcast and it's changed
And they
something for
got
them.
something. That
Yeah.
you made a difference, that you changed something. And I
Yeah.
know not everybody has a soap business that they can convert to that, but everyone can do something. And it can be volunteering at the food bank. That's something that's bigger than you. People who belong to a church where they do community things or they join a group. All these things make you part of a bigger whole. And I think we've lost that a little bit in modern day society.
Was the rainbow soap the first time you made soap that was for a cause?
Yeah, I didn't see it as for a cause.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was just, I think I did it for pride, which is sort of a cause. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I started the soap business when I still had a day job.
Uh-huh.
So, the day job paid for the bills. The soap really only had to break even for it to be a
Yes.
happy thing for me. Also,
Yeah.
I got to buy all the fun soap tools and toys and things, and that was very delightful for me. So I didn't have to really make money. My husband didn't even really want me to make money. It was just a hobby.
Yeah.
So um, if there were funds left over, I would just donate it because, again, I didn't need it. I am in a very privileged and lucky position that I can do that. And after a while, I sort of codified it. And then for a long time, every month, I would choose a fundraising focus and I would donate $1 for every bar of soap that I sold online. to whatever. Oh, I think the first one I did was Fund Texas Choice when they were doing bounties on pregnant women who were seeking abortions. That made me so upset. And then, I'd choose something different every month. And then I discovered that, while I could maybe donate $500 in a month by doing that, I wasn't selling that much soap.
Mhm.
I could make more money if I put together a bundle of 20 bars of soap and did fundraising. So I partnered with various groups, most recently Postpartum International, and they created a fundraising page, and I directed eyeballs over to them and said, for every $10 donation, you get a chance to win this bundle of soap. And so I think we raised between six or $7,000 that way. So that's
Amazing.
that's much better, or that's much more of an impact than the $500. And then it also gives my community, and it does feel like a community on Instagram, this purpose. We're all like pulling together on this one thing, and a lot of people are like, I'm going to donate $25. Take me out of the drawing. I don't really need the soap. They're doing it because, well, one, it's a good cause, and two, they feel a part of something important and useful.
It's so important to be able to feel like you can do something,
Hmm.
because I think that so many of us watch everything that's happening in the world and feel hopeless and helpless.
Hmm.
Like what difference can I make?
Yeah.
And you're providing like a way for people to, if they've got some money to give, they can give it and send it towards a good cause. And that is a way to do it. Everybody can contribute in different ways. I know for at first you were trying to keep it clean between
Hmm.
your marketing and your activism. When you decided to start talking about politics and social issues, were you afraid? Like, how did it go? What was that transition like for you? If you could think back to the
Yeah.
early time of it.
I mean, I think I sort of baby stepped into it. It's pretty simple for most businesses to at least celebrate Pride, I hope. And so, I've always done that and always done something special, like donate to the Trevor Project or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with the Kamala Harris candidacy that I really stepped very wholeheartedly into that. Did I feel afraid? I don't think so. I knew by then who my audience was, and we
Mm-hmm.
were of similar mind. I'm sure I lost a ton of followers, but I was more than offset by the people who joined me because they could see that I was wholeheartedly and loudly saying what they felt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know it's scary for businesses, small businesses, to feel like, they don't want to offend anyone. I get that. And I can't promise that this would be the same for everybody. But for me, I have gained so many more followers and so much more sales because I have been loud about what I feel and what I think everyone should feel. I think if you're going to be pussyfooting around it, and if you're going to like just have your bland soap site, and then just say the one message, and that surprises and shocks people, yeah, you're only going to lose those followers then. But you have to be consistent and continue to like say what's right. And that's when other people will join in. Yeah, you're going to lose a bunch of those folks initially, but by continuing and being consistent, I think you can gather more people.
Do you remember like what the moment was where I don't know if you said to yourself, I just can't stay quiet anymore, or
Yeah,
what that
I
was?
remember being at Portland Pride one
Uh-huh.
afternoon, glancing at my phone and seeing that Joe Biden said that he was going to endorse Kamala Harris, and it became clear that she was our candidate. And the consequence of having Trump as our president was so horrific, and so I ran very hard towards the Harris campaign. So I know that moment very well.
Gotcha. I want to talk about the trolls that tend to
Mhm.
come out in situations like this. How do you stay centered and keep your energy focused on the optimism in the middle of
Yeah.
stuff like that?
I'm not sure if I have a particularly thick skin. I have talked to other folks who will get a negative comment and it will totally ruin your day.
Hmm.
Um, those people's opinions really don't bother me. Yeah, yeah, it could be like a thousand pinpricks. Like there were a couple of posts that I had early on during that campaign period where I got a lot of negative comments, a lot of good ones too, but a lot of the mean trolls. And I have a very strict policy on my account. Those folks are not allowed. Obviously, if they're going to say something mean about trans children, I don't want those kids to see that. I understand, allowing them to discuss things. They're not there to discuss. They're just there to be mean and cruel. And the times that I have engaged, they don't want to discuss. Their mind's already set. There's no point. So I'm very strict about block, delete, block, delete, block, delete. I can do that all day long, and
Hmm.
then they're gone. Once you get one troll making a mean comment, all of their followers will see that they commented and that brings them in, and then there's more. So allowing the one guy to stay there is just a recipe for more of the same. So again, that's another reason I don't allow discussion. If you want to discuss things, go to your bar and talk to someone face to face, but no one's going to change anyone's minds through an Instagram comment. So
Hmm.
block, delete.
Yeah.
So that works for me. And I don't know if something's changed in the algorithm or what, or maybe I have indeed gotten to the point where most of the trolls are blocked, but I barely get any mean comments at all anymore. Or maybe I just don't even register anymore. They don't mean anything to me. So yeah, they're all gone. Sometimes I'll just see a troll say something mean on someone else's account and I'll block them just to be proactive because I don't want them seeing my content. They don't want to see my content. I'm doing them a favor. Apparently, some of what I say is triggering to them. So I see it as a service to them.
I love that
I will
approach. Oh
say,
my gosh, that is some good judo. That is some really good judo there, Molly. I love it.
I will say if any of your followers or any of your listeners are having problems with a particular post, they can turn off comments on that post. And I've done that once or twice. So
Uh-huh.
you can just do that magically, it will go away. Or you can switch your settings so that only your followers can make a comment on your entire account.
Yeah.
I have not ever had a troll feel um, so motivated that they decided to follow me just to make a mean comment. So that will 100% eliminate that if you're worried about
That's a
trolls.
really good tip. That's a really good tip. So, so I just have to ask this because it was a struggle for me, especially in I would say the first quarter of this year for some reason. How do you navigate that tension between wanting to stay positive and acknowledging what's hard in the world?
I think you have to acknowledge what's hard. Otherwise, you're Susie Sunshine. Otherwise, you're an ostrich with your head in the sand. And I think being honest about what I was going through was helpful for people. So if you scroll far enough in my Instagram feed, the day after the election, I was not a happy chipmunk. I was as devastated as anyone else, but I came on, gave my message, which was, yeah, we're all very upset, we're disappointed, but what I wanted people to come away with was don't let it change you, don't let it make you bitter.
Mm,
And then I went away. And then I think it took months. I had several videos of me lying flat on the floor, literally, because that's what I do when I'm so overwhelmed and so upset. I'll just lie on the floor, and it just kind of feels good on my back, and it centers me in a way. So it was probably a good couple of months of on before I got up off the floor. I was not the happy warrior right out of the gate. But there's With all my soap orders, I include a little optimistic quote, just a little random, hopeful, encouraging quote. And there's a quote from Chelsea Kane, and it goes something like, sometimes when you feel like you're in a dark place and buried, you haven't been buried, you've been planted.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So at that moment when I was flat on the floor, could not do anything, there was still stuff happening, and I think it was for other people, and we had it took us a long time to digest and get through it, but those of us who did and came out and ready to fight and ready to do things, I think it was a necessary time of fallowness to just be there.
Yeah. Wow. You're really cluing me into something, and maybe it's crazy, but one of the things that has helped me to get out of my gloom and doom phase with all this is thinking about the idea or even the possibility that we as humans need to go through this right now to learn something,
Mhm,
and I don't even know if that's true, but just the concept of thinking, oh, could that be possible? Is this leading to overall human growth,
mhm.
gives me a little bit of hope.
I do 100%, and I don't think it's just blind optimism, but I do believe strongly in the arc of the moral universe bends towards justice. We have wobbles. We go the wrong way sometimes. This is not the first time in history that American has brushed up against fascism and corruption. It's throughout our history. This is the farthest we have gone, but I don't think it's irrecoverable. It is if we all lose faith. It is if we all give up. It is if we all just say there is no point. They've already fixed the midterms. What's the point of going out to a rally? That's just one person, and the media is going to ignore it. Yeah, you can naysay every little thing and stay at home and curl up in a tight little ball, but that's when we've lost, when everybody does that, and so we absolutely can't.
I am with you 100% on that one. It's do it for yourself, do it for
Exactly,
your
exactly.
own mental health.
Yes.
There's been something really great about the rallies that I have been to. I leave with energy. Like, okay, I don't know
Mhm,
if this is going to be anything that moves the needle, but it doesn't matter. I was surrounded by people who feel the way I feel for the moment, and
mhm.
there's something in that energy that is
Yeah,
fortifying.
it renews your soul, and absolutely, if that is the only thing that you get out of a rally, it is worth taking a couple of hours out of your day to do it. I'm gonna challenge any listeners, though, to see if they can get even more out of it, which is every rally is organized probably by an indivisible group or some other group, which probably has some materials that they're handing around to see if you want to do more. I also want folks to take this as an opportunity to build their sense of community. Yes, there's a sense of community in standing and shouting out in one loud voice that we do not comply. That feels amazing and good. But also, there's moments at time, turn to the folks next to you and say, hey, I like that sign, and strike up conversations. Um, it doesn't, it's hard for adults to like just go up to another adult and say, you look cool. Let's be friends. I've seen my
Kids do
kids
it all
do
the
that.
time,
Kids
right?
do it all the time.
Yeah.
And we lost that ability. We're all afraid and we're all shy. Take the rally as a moment where we're all on the same page and start talking to people. Maybe that conversation is will end and that'll be it. But I will say that I have friends that I have met at these rallies that are still friends that I still see to this day, and I probably always will. So you can take it to the next step, and that building a sense of community, I think is another thing that has helped me get through this rough time. That feels good.
Yeah.
Um, and we motivate each other to more action. We're like, how are you getting to the rally? Have you gone to ICE recently? We keep tabs on each other. We motivate each other. We need to build up those ties.
And it's good for your health.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
They say that isolation loneliness is
Mhm.
actually, I think, worse for your health than cigarettes. There's
I
studies that have been done.
100%. I can
Yeah.
believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So take a page from my 8-year-old twins. Go up to someone and say, "You look interesting. Let's start talking." I have the phrase, "let's be friends," has actually come out of my lips the last year or so because I'm realizing they probably want to be friends too.
And
And
people
even if
need
we
to hear
never,
it. Sometimes if you say that, people are like, "Oh, you want to be my friend?" Like there's power in that, isn't there?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
can see somebody go, "Oh my gosh, you want to be my friend?"
Yeah, I think it's that vulnerability
Yeah.
of being the first person to admit that you're cool. You don't know if you're going to get rejected,
Right.
but let yourself be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Let yourself, especially if you've already had a little chat and you realize that you're pretty cool.
Yeah. Now I did so I knew you were a mom of twins. They're 8 years old right now?
No, no, no. They
Oh.
are 25.
Oh,
Five.
okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
they're
That
big now.
yes, I get you.
Yes.
Because I
Uh-huh.
was wondering how you make space for, having kids, doing this
Yeah.
and all that. So just overall though, with adult kids now, how do your kids feel about what you're doing?
My kids, they have always seen their mom. Outside of the soap, I was very active in activism circles during the first Trump administration. I'll just show you this. You can cut it out if it's like too much of a segue.
Yeah, no,
But
cool.
uh,
Uh,
this this image is the Inner America flag, and there was a group of women called Nasty Women Get Shit Done.
can I read it out loud for anybody who's just getting the audio
Oh
here?
yes, yes, please
It
do.
says, "In our America, all people are equal, love wins, Black Lives Matter, immigrants and refugees are welcome, disabilities are respected, women are in charge of their bodies, people and planet are valued over profit, diversity is celebrated." Wow.
Yeah.
Boom.
And then this is on sort of a version of the American flag, as
Uh-huh.
you
Oh,
can
yes,
see.
that's key to describe. Yes, it looks like an American flag.
So this was created by a group of women who gathered together in the wake of the 2016 election. The Sunday after that, they gathered at my friend Allie's house and they're like, what the hell are we going to do? And that image was designed and I joined the group as a board member. I did their website, and we just started selling yard signs, $10 a pop. None of us wanted the money. It was just a pass through for us to donate to organizations that supported the values on the flag. The first $10,000 donation went to a church that was providing services to immigrants and refugees. And that joy of being able to do something to help, that to have a purpose, right? Was what motivated a group of middle-aged, mostly white ladies
Mhm.
to continue to sell this sign, which became such an iconic image, I think, in some people's eyes, that when I tell them I was part of this group, they're like, oh, yeah, well, you got that from somewhere else. It's just embedded, especially in Portland, it's everywhere.
Mhm.
No, we created it and they don't believe me. But yeah, this was our thing. And so in the end, by the time we officially broke the group apart, it reformed. So it's not
Mhm.
a lost cause. But when Biden was elected, we're like, okay, we're done. We're all so excited that we did
Yeah.
it. We
Uh-huh.
had donated, I think, $220,000 to
Wow.
various charities. And, this is just a group of white women mostly selling yard signs at $10 a pop. And I'm so proud of that work. And I want people to see that you can do things. You don't have to do it at that scale, at which I'm very proud, but have a bake sale and send some money to Democracy Forward. It doesn't have to be that big, but it'll make you feel better. This was something that I did, and I kept that and soap sort of, church and state for a long time.
Yeah. And your kids see this, right? And
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
have they
Thank you for
said,
bringing me back to the
yeah, have
question.
they said how they feel? Like, are they inspired by what you're doing? Did they, or did
Um, I think they haven't said it in that many words, but it's
the
just in the
kids don't?
background. Yeah. But during the 2020 federal occupation of Portland, which happened when Trump wanted to make us an example. Yeah, this was
Uh-huh.
in the wake of the George Floyd protests, and it was like everyone's lawless, and Portland is literally burning to the ground. A lot of the same rhetoric that you see right now, which is
Mm-hmm.
untrue. It was untrue then. It was untrue now. But they sent federal troops to crack down on the city. So we were tear gassed nightly, pepper sprayed, rubber bulleted, most of us were just standing around with signs around the federal building, and then they would come out and like just trump us. I know people who have been injured by rubber bullets. My sons both were volunteer medics. They filled up packs with medical supplies. They had their first aid badge from scouts, so they had a knowledge of first aid, but they made these Red Cross symbols on the backs of their backpacks, and they went out, one or
Just
the
so
other of
like on
them.
their own, like they took what they learned in scouts
Yes, I know.
and went and did this. Oh my gosh, what a proud mama
I was so
moment.
proud of them, right?
You're
Proud mom
right.
moment to
Yeah.
go out and just be there, because people would get tear gassed, and they would definitely need help. So they would wash out their eyes. They could provide a lot of
Oh
help
my
that way.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There is one moment which I'm still upset about, that they always complied. What you do as a crowd is, federal forces say, please leave this area, please go over there. You do it. We're not there to like push back or fight, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so my kid Ethan, with the crowd, was walking away, and an officer shot him in the back with a tear gas. You're supposed to like aim at the ground because that's tear gas. He hit him in the
Wow.
back. He was wearing a very big, heavy backpack, so he felt the impact, but it did hurt him. But I just feel convinced that he was aiming at the Red Cross on
Right.
his back, and he later like gave testimony to one of our senators who was filing a lawsuit. I don't know what came of that, but yeah. So I don't know if they were inspired, or we are very free and open about what we discuss at the table about politics, and they're certainly aligned with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I do get a little bit of joy out from them, Colin recently told me that some of his friends and coworkers are really impressed that he's the son of the soap lady, and it gives him a little bit of cachet, I guess. And I hear from some of my just, middle-aged lady friends that I've known for decades, when they discover that their kid is following my Instagram, and then their kid is like, "Oh my God, you know her?" And then the kid is impressed that their mom is friends with me. So,
Oh, I love all of that. Oh my gosh. So we should probably wrap up soon, but I want to ask you, what do you think your younger self would say if she could see you now?
oh God, I was so scared as a younger human being, as a people pleaser, and wanted everybody to think that I was nice and, a good human. I was so worried about all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I could have spoken words that would have made her feel more self assured or not, but I
Right.
guess I could say those words. Some of it just comes with maturity and age, and realizing, who matters and who doesn't. Like I said, what trolls say to me online, it washes off me absolutely, because their opinion doesn't matter to me. Someone close to me, just like a week or so ago, they made a comment, and I had to like discuss it with my husband, and I got a little teary. And it was a dumb thing. It didn't mean anything, and they didn't realize. but it really hurt my feelings because that person's opinion matters. So you kind of have to
Mm,
differentiate between the chaff and
yeah.
and the reason why this person's opinion matters is because I deeply love them. So it's just a measure of my love for and from them. So, it's all good. Emotion is good. Um, I just hope that people can have courage in being themselves, being their true, real selves. So I'm showing my activist stripes in much the same way that I am so proud of the trans community for being themselves in a day and age when the entire world is telling them not to, and they're doing it anyways. And that is a beautiful, joyful form of activism that you know, I am so inspired by.
I am too. I am too. It just
Mhm,
the mere act of existing
mhm,
authentically
mhm,
is so brave,
mhm.
and it shouldn't have to be
It
brave.
should not have to be, but they are paving the way for the babies, trans people who will grow up seeing this, because that didn't exist back in, my day and age, but now it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody feels like they've been holding back on on letting their authentic self, what would you want them to know?
Um, no one has to step out in fear. That's okay. But if you can, take a baby step, take a little step, and then with practice, you can be a little bit louder every day.
I love that. How can people find you?
I am most active on Instagram as Optimistic Soap, no spaces. I repost the same content to Facebook, Blue Sky, and Threads, but Instagram is my home ground. And that's where I have the most followers and everybody's very active in the conversation. So that's the most fun. Optimisticsoap.com is my website, but the soap is almost secondary to having my voice, but that's where I make my living.
I will have links in the show notes for anybody. So if you're driving right now, it's not time. I'll have that for you in the show notes. So that'll be there for you if you want to get in touch with Molly. Thank you so much. And do it. I highly suggest. It's a joyful thing watching your videos. They raise me up. They make me laugh. You're great. Well, there you have it. Talking with Molly, well, it gave me hope. And it reminds me that optimism isn't about pretending that everything's fine. It's about showing up anyway with heart and hope. Whether it's through creativity, community building, activism, or something as simple as a bar of soap, Molly shows us that our small acts can ripple out in big ways. If you want more information about Molly Lee and Optimistic Soap, you can find links to her website in the notes. Just go to latebloomerliving.com/podcast. They'll be there. And if you enjoyed this conversation and want more stories that lift you up and make you think, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And that way you'll have a little inspiration waiting for you when you need it. And if someone you love could use a reminder that it's never too late to find their voice or start something new, share this episode with them. Until next time, keep playing, keep finding your own voice, and bloom like you mean it, my friend.